What's up, Raiders? TristenWulf here, and I'm bringing you another guide because in just a few hours, the Fire Knights Castle tournament goes live, and I wanted to discuss a little bit about the Fire Knights Castle because this is arguably the hardest dungeon out there, the one that you have to really kind of prepare and build a team around. And speaking of building a team, one of your best ways to start in this game is with a strong team. So make sure you use the download link in my channel, in the description of this video, or scan that QR code so you can start out with the legendary hero Leneral and the legendary, or the epic, okay, you know what, she's an epic hero, but Rector Drath is such a good epic hero, she's pretty much a legendary hero in my opinion. You get both of those for free just for starting out the game, and time is running out, but if you start now, you still have time to jump into the Alice Chase and pick up your Alice the Wanderer for free on day 7 of gameplay. And of course, you can enter the promo code Supreme6, and that will start you out with Supreme Gallic, another major DPS legendary unit. So that is 3 legendary units and 1 epic unit who is basically a legendary unit right out of the gate just for downloading the game using my promo code. So make sure if you started this game without a code, uninstall, reinstall, and use a promo code to reinstall so you can get this best start. But let's talk about this fight that's coming up tomorrow. For those of you who haven't run into it, this fight is very technical. So we're going to slide over to the Fire Knights Castle. We'll just pull up a random stage and start discussing it. Now, first things first, let's jump into the boss guide, learn a little bit about this fight. So, the Fire Knight has 2 basic skills that you have to deal with. His Searing Storm attack attacks all enemies, destroying destroying your maximum HP based on 15% of his damage dealt. So, every time he does this attack, your max HP is going to go down. There's no way to heal back from that. And it's just going to mean you don't want to make this a very long fight. You're going to get through them quickly. And Dazzling Flames. He attacks all enemies, placing decreased speed debuff on you for 3 turns. You want to avoid that at all costs because speed is key in this fight. Now, Cloak of Fire. This is the thing that you got to deal with. He starts the battle with a Divine Shield. This is his big shield he'll hold in front of him. And every time you attack this shield, he will take 80% less damage through it. So you need to break the shield before you can do any kind of effective damage. And he will also, while the shield is up, be immune to debuffs. So you won't be able to put debuffs like poison on him to hurt him behind the shield. You won't be able to reduce the skill cooldowns. You just got to break the shield first. So you're going to have to hit it a whole bunch of times. On the lower levels, you got to hit it 7 times. It goes up as you go to higher levels. So we'll talk about that once we get inside the fight. He is also immune to all of the same status effects that all the bosses are immune to. Stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, etc. Anything that would basically keep him from taking turns, you don't get to do that. But he can have his turn meter reduced though, so that's something you're going to want to look for. So let's discuss a little bit on what you need for this fight. So there's 2 parts to this fight. First, there's a wave of mobs, 2 waves of mobs that you have to get through to get to the Fire Knight. And then there's dealing with the Fire Knight himself. Now, you're going to need units who can hit him multiple times to drop the shield. So really good option, you get her for free, is Morag. Even though she's only level 40, she hits 2 times with her A1 skill. Not a lot of units hit multiple times with the A1 skills. If you have units that hit multiple times with their A1 skills, they are money for this fight because they will help drop that shield so your DPS units can do damage. Also, she has a dual attack skill where she teams up with 2 other allies. That's 3 hits when this skill goes off. So that's great. Her other skill hits them once and gives a strengthen buff to your eyes, makes you hit harder, but this one's not that important in the fight, especially if she's only level 40. The strengthen buff is nice, it'll let you hit harder, but getting these extra hits in is so much more important. Now, another good one that you picked up from the Alice event, Alice the Wanderer, she has 2 hits plus an additional hit. So she does 2 hits and she places an extra hit if the target has an active skill on cooldown. And this target will have an active skill on cooldown every time you hit it. So that's 3 hits on Alice, making her very, very good. Also, her A2 skill has a 75% chance, 100% if you've got it booked up, to decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. So that's additional time to get through the fight. You see, turn meter reduction is so important. And that's why one of the best units you can have on this team is, no kidding, the rare, not even rare, the uncommon, get them from just your mystery shard summons, Armiger. And why is Armiger so good at this? He has got base baked into his kit, a 30% turn meter reduction. And if you farm the Minotaur more than I have, I am farming it right now to try to have this guy ready for this week. You will be able to get this an additional 20% to the turn meter reduction, making it a 50% turn meter reduction, and it's on his A1 skill. It's a 100% chance as long as you have the effectiveness on him, and as long as you crit. Makes him so good for this, because if you build him fast with enough effectiveness and you get that evil eye mastery opened up, so it's a 50% reduction, you can pretty much make sure that shield never comes back out with this guy in your team. Build him as fast as you can with enough effectiveness, about like 200, 225 at the high levels, but just at the lower levels, as much effectiveness as you can get to make sure that you stick his turn meter reduction. So even at level 38 and level 40, I'm going to run these on the team. If you started the game with Elhain has a 2-hit on her A1. As long as she crits, she'll hit and then hit again. Her A3 skill will hit 2 times. That's great. You can turn off her A2 skill because this only hits once. And that's something you'll want to consider for this fight. And although Kale doesn't have a 2-hitter on his A1, he does have a 4-hitter on his A3, and that makes him really good for that. And his A2 fills his own turn meter to cycle a little faster so he can get extra attacks in, so it makes Kale a pretty good option if you didn't start with Elhain. So this is the team I'm going to run. Now, one thing you'll want to do is set up a little bit of AI control on this team, right? Because you want to have everybody's skills ready for the boss. So you want to go into this team setup tab. See this here? And go down and build yourself a team, right? So I'm going to put Alice in the front. She's got an attack buff for the whole team. Helps a little bit. If you've got a unit that's a speed buff, use that one. The more speed, the better. And I'm going to run Kale. Good damage. We're going to run Armiger, because he's just insane for this kind of stuff. Good for Spider, too. I was thinking about running Elhain, but let's get Morag on the team. And at higher levels, you'll probably need some healing, right? Rector Drath is good for healing. If you have a healer who is a cleanser as well, like Ugo, that would be even better to cleanse the slow debuffs off of you. But I'm going to farm a little bit lower of a level, so I'm just going to put Elhain on here. Less because I am worried about success, and more because I want you to see how the extra hits help you burst through this. So we're going to go ahead and lock it in and say we're using this team, and you click this little abacus over here, and this is what's going to let you set your rounds, right? So round 1 and round 2, these are the wave mobs, right? These are the trash mobs between us and the boss is on round 3. So let's start with round 3. On round 3, I only want Armiger to use Riposte, right? This is the skill that reduces the turn meter. I don't really care about Lay to Rest, right? This skill doesn't matter to me, so I'm going to turn it off. I'm just going to say, don't use this skill on round 3 at all. Only use Riposte on round 3. Round 1 and round 2, it doesn't matter. I don't care what he uses. You can just attack away. Now let's get down to Elhain. Elhain, Lightning Arrow attacks all enemies. That's great for round 1 and 2, so I'll leave that in place. I don't want her to use her number 3 skill on round 1, because I want her to save that 2-hitter for round 3. So we're going to turn that off for rounds 1 and 2. And then I'm going to turn her AoE skill off for round 3. That way, for the waves, she's using any of the skills she has available that aren't the big one. And then round 3, she's not using her single hit, she's only using her double hit skills. Morag's going to be the same way. I will let her go ahead and I'll let her go ahead and boost my attack. Oops, wrong tab. I will let her go ahead and use her her strengthen buff skill on rounds 1 and 2, but I don't want her to waste her dual attack skill until round 3. Just on the outside chance she takes a turn, we'll turn that off on rounds 1 and 2. And then round 3, I don't want her to use her strengthen skill. Though it would be nice, I want her to be doing her double hits and her triple hits, right? Double hit plus she dual attacks with other units, right? And let's see, that's, let me see, we got Kale. Kale, I do not want him to use his 4-hitter skill. I did it again, guys. I did it again. On round 1 and 2, I don't want him to use Disintegrate. Disintegrate is his poison, is his 4-hitter. I want him to save that for the final round, so we're going to turn those off. And then on the final round, he can use any skill he has available, right? But I'm going to say if, let me see, first choice, we'll make this the first choice if it's all available. And this one can be the second choice if first choice is not available, because it gives him the built-in turn meter speed up, right? So he will always use this one if it's ready, and then he'll use this one, and then of course that just can happen whenever. Alice is going to be my ideal unit for clearing the mobs, and her number 2 skill is AoE, attacks all enemies, best for clearing the mobs. So we're just going to flag this one for round 1 to always use this if it's available. And Queenslayer, we'll do second choice if slot 1 is not ready. And we'll do the same thing for round 2. First choice, always use it if it's available. This one, second choice if it's available. But round 3, we're going to do something a little different, right? Round 3, Vorpal Sword hits 3 times. And this has a turn meter reduction, right? But this turn meter reduction is only 15%. So as crazy as it sounds, I'm going to turn off all of her skills that aren't her A3, her number 1, her A1 skill, the one that hits multiple times to help bust down the shield. So now that I've set all this up, I click save, I check the box to make sure it's active, and then we can go in and run the fight. Now, if everything's set up properly, everyone should attack exactly the way I have planned out, and the fight will be planned out. Nobody's going to be using their AoE skills except Kale. He wipes out the first round. Kale's just doing S1s. He's not wasting his S3s. She can strengthen because that's fine. She's not using her she's using her S2. She's using S2. Clears us all the way through, and now it's a whole different game. Now Kale uses his S3. That's 4 hits off. Morag does a double hit, and we've already broken through shield. Armiger hits reduced the turn meter by 30%. Can you imagine that's 50%? The turn meter would be down to here. Look how much damage we did because we were able to control shield. Now we're down to 5 hits, 4 hits, 3 hits, 2 hits, 1, 2, 3. We're inside the shield. We can actually hit him again. He got his shield back. He does some injury. Speed. If we could have somebody on this team with a slow debuff, that would be insane. We got a slow debuff right here. He would take even fewer turns. If you've got additional people that have turn meter reduction, if you actually put gear and build these units faster, you can run this so much faster. But see how clean that was. See how we controlled the flow of the fight. We kept all of our AoE skills and we programmed them in for rounds 1 and 2. And then we kept our turn meter reduction skills, our multi-hit skills. If you've got a slow debuffer skill, you get that in there. If you've got a defense breaker skill, that's a good one to get in there too for extra burst damage. It'll help you cleave through this a whole lot faster. And you can just keep pushing up as high as you can push it. What's important is that you're able to clear consistently and fast to get through this tournament and get it done. One last thing I want to point out to you before you jump in is look at the affinities of the heroes, right? If your main nuker unit is magic, blue, maybe don't be jumping into a force dungeon red where you're elementally weak. Okay, maybe drop down in farm stage 8 where it's more reliable, and then move up to stage 10 when you can get away from it, right? So really pay attention to the elemental advantages and disadvantages of the stage. When picking the stage you're going to farm consistently and fast. As for the gear that can be dropped, there are some really good sets here, right? The Savage set is a fantastic set where you can ignore 25% penetration. Regeneration set has use, healing 15% every turn. The stun set's really nice. Some people are like, oh, daze is a higher percentage. Yeah, but stun is a much stronger debuff than daze. Other than that, crit damage is nice. That's a decent set. Shield set is solid. That's a decent set. The rest are kind of, I mean, you can set your AI to sell them if you want, or you can maybe find some gems in there. Early game, you beggars can't be choosers, but later game, you know, you'll probably set your auto filters to sell for you. So when trying to find the units that you have to run these fights, for those of you who are new may not realize this, you can click this filter section over here, and you can go down to debuffs, and you can look for units that have the slow effect, right? Maybe I build this guy for a slow debuff, or maybe I try out one of these units for a slow debuff. Maybe that'd give me some advantages. You can look down at other effects, and under negative effects, you can look for decreased turn meter, and look at all your units that have decreased turn meter on your account, and maybe start focusing into those to help control the boss. But remember, always kind of pay attention as to whether or not they are multi-hit units or not. And as for like hit multiple times, I think you just kind of have to click on the skills and look to see what you got. If you don't have Armiger, that's okay. He is not required. He just makes things so much easier, and he's a 2-star. He's practically a free unit. You can go up to the portal. You can do a 10 summon with your mystery shards, and I think I did 100 mystery shards to farm out mine before making this video. It's why he's only level 38. I'm rushing to get him ready, guys. I really am. This is a technical fight. I think this fight is somewhat designed to teach you how to use this team setup system, because if you don't do this and you just run it on auto, you're not going to push anywhere near as deep, because you're going to blow through all of your skills that you really needed for setup on the boss. I know I've said last thing a few times. I want to say one more last thing for you, right? And that's that although the tournament for Fire Knight starts in a few hours, don't jump into it right yet. Wait 24 more hours and a Dungeon Diver event will start, and you will be able to double dip. You always want to look for your biggest return on investment. One thing that I've noticed that Plarian really likes to do is they really like to try to give you opportunities to spend your resources when it's not efficient. Right? Don't let them win. Okay, spend efficiently, spend smart. Make sure you wait until the Dungeon Divers portion of the tournament is up as well. I'm sorry, the Dungeon Divers event is up as well, so that while you're doing the Fire Knight tournament, you are also climbing in the Dungeon Divers event as well. So take it as a little bit of a day off. Go farm your Armiger, get your units ready. Start looking through all of your units, find ones that have skill cooldowns, find ones that have slows, find ones that have multiple attacks, and start farming them up so that you can have them ready for this event, so that you'll be able to chew through it quicker, cleaner, and easier. And my last piece of advice for you before we sign off today is, if you have not used a download link, mine or anyone else's, and you've started this game, just go ahead and reinstall using one of those links. It's a tragedy to not start this game with so many solid, legendary, and epic heroes. So always use a download link when you're starting out this game. And if you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and good luck fighting the Fire Knight the day after tomorrow. Take care, everybody.